Welcome to Maxim's Inside Track. My name's Edwin Lloyd. John's on holiday, so I'm standing in today. He's off in Gundawindi for this week, so I hope he has a good break. I'm going to do a slightly different Inside Track this week by going through the four major dairy producing markets in the world, so the EU, the US, Australia and New Zealand. So let's get into it. Okay, let's start with our home market in Australia. Milk production continues to decline slightly compared to last year, albeit on a smaller milk pool than the other main geographical regions. However, that is putting pressure on these prices and on processors to manufacture more premium, more value-added products. So what we're seeing is a lot of the milk and a lot of the ingredients are going into food service and retail products where they can achieve that premium price. And there's less availability for the ingredients market or the industrial market where milk is used as an ingredient in manufacture. So really this is a continuing trend and has been over the last 6 to 12 months, is likely to continue, and we would suggest that if your requirement is Australian only, that's something that you should look at sooner rather than later. Over to New Zealand. The New Zealand market is almost 3 times, remember, the size of the Australian dairy market at 21 billion litres, and 95% of all New Zealand product is exported. The biggest importer of that product is China, and China has such a massive impact on what's going on in New Zealand. China continues to be quiet. We believe there are still domestic stocks of milk powders held in China, and we don't see that changing anytime soon, probably before the end of this calendar year. So other markets such as Southeast Asia and Africa have been picking up the slack and buying product out of New Zealand, but that can't continue forever. So we see this market as flat at the moment over the next couple of months. Could go down slightly, could go up slightly depending on that demand, but relatively flat. Does present some really good buying opportunities. It's at a discount to most other markets. We're below 5-year averages on both skim and whole milk powders, so a really good opportunity to lock in further forward for manufacturers if you have back-to-back contracts that you want to lock in margin. In terms of the fats market over in New Zealand, it continues to be strong. We see this market again relatively stable around the current levels. It could go up slightly depending on the weather conditions in New Zealand. Overnight the GDT went up 4%. That was lower than analyst expectations. We've heard noises of dry weather in the North Island that could affect production in the spring flush, but for now we're not seeing that coming through. So I think the general feeling here is at some point China will come back in, at some point these prices will firm up. Now presents a good opportunity, a good buying opportunity. Is it the bottom? Could be argued either way, but we're certainly at relatively low prices compared to those 5-year averages. Across to the US market, huge market, 140, 150 billion litres of milk produced every year, most of which obviously consumed domestically with the large domestic population. What we have seen here is that their production was up over the last 6 months compared to the prior year. A lot of this extra production got pushed into the best stream, being cheese and the whey derivatives, which meant some great buying and pricing opportunities on those products. We have seen over the last 2 months production has leveled off. It's now flat on prior years, and while demand remains robust for cheeses, that's putting pressure on the availability of cream and fats, butter, and those prices are very high at this moment in time. See this, there's still some good buying opportunities of those proteins and cheeses out of this market, but that could firm over the next few months. Finally, the EU, another huge market, 160 billion litres of milk production, roughly. Look, it's always a much more tricky market to predict. The EU, you have many countries within that market, so the conditions in Germany or France can vary quite dramatically from those in let's say, Ireland. But generally, the demand and supply in that region is relatively balanced. We aren't seeing a lot of products coming from the EU into Oceania at this stage. The autumn flush in Europe may present some good opportunities which we'll keep an eye on, but at this stage we feel as though it's relatively flat and business as usual. So, to summarise the four markets, production is relatively flat across the world at the moment in those markets. Prices are at very 5-year low levels for definitely the powders of full cream and skim milk powder. This does present some quite good buying opportunities for later on in 2023 or even into 2024 if you can cover off customer contracts. Looking forward, we probably for the next few months expect prices to probably drift slightly upwards. They could also move slightly downwards. It's going to depend on weather conditions, specifically in NZ. We do expect prices to firm or start to firm from 2024 onwards, when we do expect China to start to buy in bigger volumes, and demand then will start to increase given this relatively flat supply. So good buying opportunities at this moment. Well, thanks for spending time listening to Maxim's Inside Track. We'll see you again in 2 weeks' time. John mentioned I have to say something about sport. He said don't mention the Rugby World Cup or Fiji, so I won't go into that. But I just want to give a big shout out and a big thumbs up to the two Brisbane teams in the finals this weekend. Good luck, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time.